If you want to lose dangerous belly fat, the first thing you need to know is this. The fat you can grab with your hand is not the fat that worries me most. The fat that concerns me is the fat you can't see. It's buried deep inside your abdomen. It wraps around your organs. It crowds your liver, your intestines, your pancreas, and while it may sit quietly in your body for years, it is not passive, it is not harmless, it is not just extra weight. It is biologically active. It sends out chemical signals that can raise inflammation, disrupt blood sugar, interfere with hormones, stress your heart, and make it harder for your body to burn fat in the first place. That fat is called visceral fat. And here's what makes it so frustrating. You can look relatively slim and still carry too much of it. You can be trying to lose weight and still not be targeting the fat that matters most. You can even see the number on the scale go down while your metabolism is still struggling. So if you've been asking, what is the fastest way to eliminate stubborn visceral fat naturally? Let me give you the real answer. It is not one magic food. It is not one supplement. It is not one ab workout. And it is definitely not one desperate weekend of dieting. The fastest natural way to reduce visceral fat is to change the conditions that allow it to thrive. Because visceral fat grows in a body that is getting the wrong signals. Too much insulin, too little movement, poor sleep, constant stress, too many liquid calories, too much ultra-processed food, not enough fiber, not enough muscle activity, too many hours sitting, too many late nights, too many repeated blood sugar spikes. Visceral fat is not random, it is a response. And if you change the signals, you can change the outcome. Now, before I show you what works fastest, let's get clear on why visceral fat is so different from the fat you see under your skin. The fat under your skin is called subcutaneous fat. That is the softer fat you can pinch. Visceral fat is deeper. It sits inside the abdominal cavity. Think of it like packing material shoved into a small space around delicate machinery. At first, it may not seem dramatic, but the more of it there is, the more it starts affecting everything around it. This is where the trouble begins. Visceral fat behaves almost like an endocrine organ. In other words, it sends messages, and too often, those messages are the wrong ones. It helps drive chronic low-grade inflammation. That kind of inflammation is not like getting a splinter and healing. It is more like a low fire that never fully goes out. Your body keeps reacting, your tissues stay irritated, your blood vessels don't function as smoothly, your insulin signaling gets worse, your appetite regulation gets noisier, your recovery gets poorer. Then it becomes easier to store more fat, especially more visceral fat. That's one reason it can feel so stubborn. The fat is not just sitting there, it is participating. It is making fat loss harder. It can also push your body toward insulin resistance. That means your cells stop responding as efficiently to insulin, so your body has to produce more of it. And when insulin stays elevated too often, that tells your body to store energy instead of releasing it. So now you're stuck in a loop. High insulin makes it easier to store visceral fat. Visceral fat makes insulin resistance worse. Worse insulin resistance makes it harder to burn fat. This is why some people feel like they are doing everything right and still not seeing progress. They may be trying hard, but they are not breaking the cycle where it matters most. And there's something else. Visceral fat is strongly linked to cardiometabolic risk. That includes higher risk for type 2 diabetes, heart disease, fatty liver, and other serious health problems. This is why waist-centered fat matters so much more than people realize. It is not just about appearance. It is about the environment inside your body. So, what is the fastest natural strategy? Here it is. Lower insulin spikes, increase daily muscle activity, protect sleep, and create a mild but consistent calorie deficit without triggering rebound hunger. That is the formula. Not glamorous, not trendy, but very powerful. And when you stack these together, visceral fat often responds faster than people expect. Let me walk you through exactly how to do it. The first and fastest lever is this: stop drinking your sugar. If you are serious about reducing visceral fat, sugary drinks have got to go. Soda, sweetened coffee drinks, sweet teas, fruit drinks, energy drinks, flavored bottled beverages that seem healthy but are loaded with sugar. These are some of the fastest ways to keep insulin elevated and keep fat storage turned on. Liquid sugar hits fast. It does not fill you up the same way solid food does. It is easy to overconsume, and it teaches your body to live on repeated glucose surges. That is exactly the metabolic environment where visceral fat thrives. So if you do one thing first, do this first. Remove the easy sugar. Drink water, sparkling water, unsweetened tea, black coffee if it works for you. If you want something flavored, keep it unsweetened. That one change alone can start altering the chemistry that drives fat storage. The second lever is walking. And I know some people hear that and think, really, walking? Yes, walking, because one of the fastest ways to improve blood sugar control is to get your muscles using glucose regularly. Your muscles are major consumers of energy. When they contract, they help pull glucose out of the bloodstream. That means less sugar floating around, less insulin needed, less pressure to store excess fuel as visceral fat. And the beauty of walking is that it works quickly. You do not need to become an athlete overnight. You do not need a gym membership to start. You need consistency. A brisk walk after meals is especially powerful. Even 10 to 15 minutes after eating can help blunt the blood sugar rise that would otherwise push your body towards storage mode. Then one full daily walk, around 30 to 45 minutes, helps build the repetition your metabolism needs. If you want the fastest natural path, don't underestimate simple movement done every day. The third lever is protein and fiber together. This is where a lot of people get stuck. They either slash calories so aggressively that they become ravenous and rebound, or they eat foods that look small in volume but are easy to overeat and don't keep them full. The fix is not misery. The fix is food that sends better signals. Protein helps preserve muscle, supports satiety, and makes weight loss more metabolically favorable. Fiber slows digestion, improves fullness, helps steady blood sugar, and supports a healthier gut environment. That combination is incredibly useful if you are trying to burn stubborn visceral fat. So what does that look like in real life? It looks like eggs with vegetables, Greek yogurt with berries and seeds, salmon with beans and greens, chicken with lentils and roasted vegetables, tofu with stir-fried vegetables, oats with chia, walnuts and unsweetened yogurt on the side. You are not trying to eat perfectly. You are trying to build meals that keep insulin calmer, hunger lower, and energy steadier. That is how you stop feeding visceral fat. The fourth lever is sleep. This is the one people ignore until it starts hurting them. If you are sleeping 5 hours a night, wired at midnight, scrolling in bed, waking up exhausted, and then craving sugar and caffeine all day, your body is getting a loud message that it is under stress, and stressed bodies do not burn stubborn fat efficiently. Poor sleep raises hunger hormones. It worsens insulin sensitivity. It increases the drive to snack. It makes you more likely to choose quick energy foods. It raises stress hormones. And it makes consistency harder across the board. That is why sleep is not a bonus. It is metabolic infrastructure. 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep is not laziness. It is strategy. If you want to reduce visceral fat faster, protect your sleep like it matters. Because it does. Go to bed at a more regular time. Dim the lights earlier. Cut the late night eating. Keep the room cool and dark. And if you can keep the room cool and dark. And if you can only improve one habit this week, make it the habit that improves all your other habits. That is sleep. Now, let's talk about the fifth lever, and this one matters more than people think. Lift something. You do not have to become a bodybuilder. But if you want to eliminate visceral fat efficiently, you need to give your body a reason to keep or build muscle. Muscle is metabolically expensive tissue. That is a good thing. The more muscle you maintain, the better your body handles glucose. The better it handles glucose, the less insulin you need. The less insulin you need, the easier it becomes to access stored fat. Do you see the pattern? Everything comes back to signals. Resistance training changes the signal. Bodyweight squats, push-ups against a wall or counter, dumbbells, resistance bands, machines. Safe, basic strength work, done 2 to 4 times a week, can make a major difference. And no, you do not need to spend 90 minutes in the gym. You need regular muscle stimulus. That is enough to start shifting the system. The sixth lever is portion control without drama. This is where people get extreme, and extremes usually backfire. You do not need to starve to lose visceral fat, but you do need your body to stop receiving more fuel than it can use. A mild calorie deficit, done consistently, works better than an aggressive crash approach that leaves you exhausted and overeating later. Try eating until satisfied, not stuffed. Try serving a little less. Try pausing before seconds. Try slowing down long enough for your brain to catch up with your stomach. This is not punishment. This is precision. Because when you are constantly overfilling your system, your body has no reason to tap into stored fat. The seventh lever is timing. Not perfection, timing. Many people snack from morning until late at night and never give insulin much of a break. They wake up and graze, they nibble between meals, they eat dessert, then they snack again while watching something before bed. And from the body's point of view, the storage signal just keeps coming. You do not necessarily need a complicated fasting protocol, but you may benefit from a cleaner eating window. 3 balanced meals, fewer random snacks, earlier dinner, less late-night eating. That alone can help your metabolism work more efficiently, especially if evening eating is one of your weak spots. Because late-night eating tends to pair with poor food choices, poor sleep, and poor blood sugar control all at once. That is a bad combination if visceral fat is your target. Now let me tell you what does not work fast, even though people wish it did. Spot reduction does not work. You cannot crunch visceral fat away. Sweat is not proof of fat loss. A flat tummy tea is not fixing your metabolism. A detox is not undoing months or years of insulin resistance. And no supplement can outwork a body that is underslept, overfed, undermuscled, and barely moving. That may not be the glamorous answer, but it is the honest one. The body changes when the inputs change. If you want the fastest natural change, change the biggest inputs first. Here is the order I would focus on. First, cut sugary drinks and obvious liquid calories. Second, walk every day, especially after meals. Third, center meals around protein and fiber. Fourth, protect 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Fifth, add resistance training several times a week. Sixth, reduce portions just enough to be consistent. Seventh, stop the habit of late-night eating. That is your stack. And when people do these together, that is when stubborn visceral fat finally starts to lose ground. Not because of magic, because the biology changes. Your insulin becomes easier to control. Your blood sugar swings settle down. Your hunger becomes more predictable. Your muscles become more active. Your sleep improves. Your stress response quiets down. Your body begins to access stored energy more effectively. That is when the hidden fat starts to shrink. And let me say something important. Do not get discouraged if you do not see dramatic changes in the mirror right away. Visceral fat loss does not always announce itself cosmetically at first. Sometimes the first signs are different. Your waist measurement starts changing. Your fasting blood sugar improves, your energy improves, you stop craving sugar all afternoon, you feel less heavy after meals, your sleep gets deeper, your workouts feel easier. Your lab work starts moving in the right direction. Those are real wins, and often they happen before the big visual change. This is one reason waist circumference can matter more than the scale alone. Two people can weigh the same and have very different levels of health risk depending on where fat is stored. Now, if you are wondering how fast visceral fat can change, the answer is faster than most people think, if you become consistent. Not overnight, not in 2 days. But often, within weeks, your metabolism can start shifting, and over a few months, the difference can be significant. That is especially true when the goal is not just lose weight, but specifically improve the conditions that drive abdominal fat storage. That is why the fastest way is not the most extreme way. It is the most targeted way. You are not attacking your body. You are retraining it. You are sending it better instructions. Eat in a way that stabilizes you. Move in a way that activates muscle. Sleep in a way that restores hormone balance. Live in a way that lowers the storage signals. That is how stubborn visceral fat begins to let go. I'm Dr. Marie Clark, and if there is one thing I want you to remember, it is this. The most dangerous fat is often the fat you cannot see, but it is not beyond your control. You do not need a miracle. You need momentum. Start with the sugary drinks, then walk, then build better meals, then guard your sleep, then strengthen your body, then repeat, because the fastest natural way to eliminate stubborn visceral fat is not one dramatic act. It is the rapid compounding effect of a few biologically smart habits done consistently enough for your body to trust them. And once your body trusts the new pattern, it starts changing. Not just on the outside, but deep on the inside where it matters most.